All right, so today we are diving into something truly wild. We're looking at a story that just throws everything you thought you knew about history right out the window. It's this modern myth, and the craziest part? It all comes from one single, totally bizarre document that claims the biggest events of the 20th century all trace back to one guy. Let's see just how deep this rabbit hole goes. So, this text we're digging into, it doesn't waste any time. It just hits you with this, okay, so this guy, Gianni, is an absolute menace. He just keeps dunking on people, and nobody can stop this guy. Right off the bat, you gotta ask, who is this Gianni, and what on earth did he do to be called an absolute menace? But see, this isn't just about some random guy causing trouble. The claim here is so much bigger. Could this one person, this menace, actually be the secret architect of our entire modern history? I mean, that's what the document suggests. So yeah, we're going to follow this thread and see just how far it goes.
Okay, let's get into it. The story kicks off with a claim so out there, it completely flips our understanding of World War I on its head.
So, you know that whole story about the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo? Yeah, throw that out. According to this text, that's not what kicked off World War I. Nope. The real catalyst was a basketball dunk. Seriously, I'm not making this up. The text literally says Johnny dunked on the Archduke in 1914, and that's what started the whole thing. And believe me, that's just where this story begins. So, after that one single dunk, the text just unleashes this timeline of absolute mayhem. It paints this picture of Gianni as this just unstoppable force of nature tearing through the 20th century. I mean, just look at this progression. He starts World War I. Then, during the war, he apparently gets 3,000 confirmed dunks. Fast forward to 1939, and how does World War II start? He dunks on the entire country of Poland. The text even says he ended the war by dunking on Hitler himself. And get this, after all that, the entire purpose of the UN and NATO, according to this, was just to contain him. And guess what? It didn't work. And it wasn't just random chaos, it was getting worse. The text gives us actual numbers to back this up. In World War I, 3,000 dunks. By World War II, that number skyrockets to 7,000. He more than doubled his output. This guy was only getting stronger, more efficient, you could say. And you know, this wasn't just happening during wartime. His targets weren't just military leaders or politicians. The text is super clear about this. He dunked on presidents, monarchs, even small children. It says he dunked on anyone he could get his dunk on. So this isn't strategy. It's just pure, unfiltered chaos. So, you might be wondering, how do you even try to stop someone like that? Well, the world's powers apparently threw the kitchen sink at him. The list of things they tried starts off pretty normal, guns, bombs, gas. They even tried nukes. But then, you get to the last item on the list, cream cheese. The fact that cream cheese is on this list of failed military strategies, well, that tells you everything you need to know. We are way outside the bounds of normal reality here. Okay, so for decades, Gianni is this completely unsolvable problem. Nobody can stop him. But then, the whole story just pivots. It turns in on itself and introduces this paradox that completely changes the game. And that turning point all happens in a single year, 2002. This is when, according to the text, something finally shows up that can actually stand up to him. So, what happened in 2002? A new Gianni was born, a baby. The original Gianni, the menace of the 20th century, tries to dunk on this newborn, and for the very first time in his life, he fails. And then the baby dunks back. And just like that, the rampage is over. This is the heart of the whole myth, what the text calls the genie anomaly. The only thing that can possibly stop Gianni is another Gianni. And this kicked off a completely new phase. The new Gianni is now the undisputed champion, right? But he's not taking on historical figures anymore. His new rivals are a who's who of athletic legends. We're talking LeBron James, Vince Carter. The text even throws Michael Jackson in there. And yeah, you guessed it, none of them could touch him. So here's this new Gianni. He's all powerful, totally unchallenged. And that leads him to ask a question that spirals into the most mind-bending part of this whole story. We're about to get into a time loop that completely redefines everything. He's beaten everyone there is to beat, so he's left with this one final kind of philosophical question.
If no one could dunk on him, could he dunk on himself? It's the ultimate challenge, right? So to answer it, he does what anyone would do. He builds a time machine. The plan is simple. Go back in time 1 year and try to dunk on his past self.
Okay, hang on because this is where your brain's going to start to melt a little. Let's break this down. The time machine, it messes up. Big time. Instead of going back 1 year, it slingshots him all the way back to 1914. He arrives, probably confused. And what's the first thing he does? He dunks on Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He starts World War I. In that exact moment, he becomes the very person he was born to stop. He is the original Gianni. The hero of the story is the villain. It's a perfect paradox. There's no beginning and no end. The very act of trying to test his own limits is the thing that creates his own origin story. He's stuck, trapped in this deterministic loop where he's forced to create the exact history he was meant to end, over and over again. But just when you think you finally wrapped your head around it, the story breaks. The source text just kind of shatters. It doesn't give us one clean ending. Instead, it offers a bunch of different conflicting feeds for Gianni that happen outside of this mean time loop.
I mean, check out these different timelines. In one, he jumps to the year 2641, defeats something called a Giga Gianni, and becomes a god. Okay. In another timeline, he dies in some war in 2377, and then there's a third option where he just lands in 2025, and that's it. The story just ends.
So that's really the final punchline, isn't it? There is no clean resolution. The text leaves us with all these totally different outcomes that can't possibly all be true. He could be a god, he could be dead, or he could just be a regular guy. The entire narrative just dissolves into possibilities. So what does that leave us with? What is Gianni? Is he a real historical figure that's been erased? A time-traveling paradox? Some kind of forgotten god? Or is the whole thing just the story of a normal guy who wakes up totally confused in the year 2025? The document gives us all the pieces, but it doesn't give us the answer. That, it seems, is for us to figure out.